Okay, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great.
So, who are you?
My name is Jeff Otto. I'm the CMO of Riskified.
Well, thank you so much for doing this impromptu conversation today at your guys' very own conference. So we are here in New York City. We are in Brooklyn. Wonderful view for those that are able to see some video, if we have some video.
But it is hot here. It's like 95 degrees.
It's a little warm. As you can see, I have some signs of a little warm. So let's talk about this conference and what it means to you guys and what it means for us merchants to come here. And I'll say that piece of it. But what is this conference to you guys? What does it mean to you guys?
Yeah, well, of course, as a marketer looking at this outside in, how the merchants think about it, what we really hope to create is an environment where all of you merchants and, people that are fighting fraud day in, day out on the front lines can get together, share trade craft, learn from one another, and really protect the shops.
So one of the things for me as a merchant, not just Marquette, but as a merchant, these user summits are extremely impactful for what we do, how we do our jobs. Like to be able to interface with our peers and have these conversations that are using the same software in the same scenarios as us is like invaluable for us. So I really appreciate like these user summits. I think it's really important for like your brands to have these sorts of things to get the people together. Like it's really, it creates a different type of relationship than just a vendor merchant relationship. It creates a deeper relationship where we can trust you guys. We know that you guys have our back. Does that make sense when I say it like that?
Oh, it's very kind. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are, I need you guys to be my guys.
Yeah.
But no, I think like these sorts of things are super interesting. So we are in day 2.
Uh-huh.
What have you learned so far at this particular event?
Well, there's always things that happen that you can't predict, like TV turning on, screens turning off and things like that. So, the art and science of events is rolling with it. I'm so proud of my team, Jordan. Like, I cannot tell you how proud I am of my team. I got some folks that on the surface of the water, that old analogy of like ducks.
Yeah.
Like they look so calm and everything's like, yeah, we've got this. And then under the water is like total chaos. And their paddles, they're paddling and like nuts. And that's kind of, I can see it from their vantage because I know what problems they're solving for and just immensely proud of the effort they put into this.
So yes, and coordinating 200 individuals is no small feat. And getting them to a place like we were at in Brooklyn at the One Hotel Brooklyn is an astronomical amount of logistics to get everybody here and to get things going on time, to get these sessions prepped. Like we very much understand like what you guys have to do things. I do want to talk about some of the things that I've learned as a merchant here so far. And I think it's pretty important to see that my peers are doing a lot of the same. They're seeing a lot of the same thing where abuse and scams are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they focus on what we in the industry call identity versus what, like, historically we worry about credit card fraud, but it's so much bigger than that. And to see you guys go right into creating products like to try and find out the identity of a person and how that is and who they are so you could help prevent the scams, help prevent the ATOs is a super interesting change for me to see a product like your guys' product evolve. And to have all of these people in this conference talking about the same thing that I'm seeing is big. Also Japan, we're getting completely screwed by Japan.
Wasn't that fascinating? So for those listening, we were showcasing, and this will be published online in our keynote sessions. One of our executives, Danielle, who runs Merchant Health, was talking about just the incredible spike in payments fraud in Japan.
It was
across all industries.
Yeah, and historically, it's like a super safe and trusted market. Like it's just nothing ever happens bad there. And then to have it just like for us, like we were trying to set, and you guys did a really good idea, a really good analysis of parsing down what's kind of happening. And I think a lot of it is the trust that happens in that market. So we always just for years, decades, we've been doing business in Japan. It's like it's safe, it's a fine market to be in, but then it wasn't. And I thought it might have been because of the currency was crashing, had a lot of hard times with the yen and all that. But it's just really interesting to see that like we were not alone because, with our business, and I've heard we historically do business in emerging markets, which are challenging markets for a lot of people to do business in, and people don't do business in those markets. So we have such a global view of what's happening. When we see things happen to us, we sometimes think that it may only be us, because it's just we're one of the few businesses, like a U.S. business, that's doing business in that region. So it might just be that they figured our website out, they're trying to hit us for something. But to see that like Japan is happening to everybody, and especially your guys' portfolio, which I think is really interesting that you guys have like that level of knowledge. And I love that you guys have the data science to do that and go in and look at like all of your customers' data to bring those things to us and see that we are not alone. We are not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, you live and breathe this. I mean, it's whack-a-mole out there, right? Every,
really is.
Different product segments, formerly safe segments that no one would ever think in a million years would get attacked. We were talking about, we have a merchant that had an attack on socks.
Yes, like, which is crazy. And then, so side tech, long ago in another life, I was a professional athlete. Believe it or not, everybody. No, this amazing.
Did not know that.
I was a fully endorsed professional skipper. So I did what's called extreme skipping. So Champion Sportswear, Hanes Brands, they sponsored me. And they asked me the very first time, what do you need? And I said, socks. I need a lot of socks. They literally sent me a box of socks, like a huge box of socks that I probably had for 10 years after that. But
yeah,
it's just socks. Like you don't think about it. You wear them every day, everybody. You got to have your socks. So yeah, socks are crazy. So,
yeah.
So what else is happening at here at Ascent? Like what's more important for you here, specifically your role, your interfacing with merchants? Like what's for you here?
Yeah. Well, as obviously the first principle I talked about, which is all of you getting a chance to talk with your peer group, right? And can we create an environment that allows for that? Networking, roundtables, very specific topics people can auto-select into and say, all right, I'm resonating with that problem. I'm facing that problem. Let me get with a group of people that care about that problem and let's solve it together. And another secondary goal is we don't want to just, we just want to talk about today. We want to skate to where the puck is going. And so a lot of our keynotes are about research and using our fraud and risk intelligence teams that are out there looking at pattern recognition, digging into the dark web, looking at the increasing communities here on the clear web, and saying like, all right, where are things going and what should we be looking out for in the future?
So one of the things for me in your future, and I think this is a brilliant way to frame it, is you guys are using adversarial AI because you guys are long been known as an AI solution, which you guys are one of the first ones to really adopt that. But before we were saying, we called it machine learning time when you guys first came out. So then now we call it AI. It's just computers making decisions based on inputs that go into everybody. So it's not like, but you guys are using adversarial AI to attack your own systems to predict where the next attack could be. And I think that's brilliant because looking to the future, like you said earlier, it's whack-a-mole. It's always whack-a-mole. We're always trying to stop something that has just popped up. But when we do it that way, it's always reactionary.
Yeah.
100% a reactionary answer to a problem that we're seeing now. But when you use adversarial AI, where you can try and predict where the next one, you could stop it before it even happens. Instead of having whack-a-mole, like you're full on covering the mole hole. So he ain't even coming up at all.
Or to continue the whack-a-mole analogy, because it's a fun one, imagine if you could, sneak your way, as a mole into the little mole meeting that's happening before they pop up and see what they're planning to do as a community. I mean, that's kind of what our fraud intelligence team does. They get out there into the clear web or dark web sites, and they're actually looking at the community interaction there to see, all right, I think there's a breach. We're about to see a bunch of moles pop up over here in Japan. Let's do something.
And I think that not a lot of companies, there's a lot of other companies in the space that they get kind of complacent and they don't quite make the investments into the future that you guys do and are making, which that's another thing when I come to these sorts of events. I love when product people, the builders are on stage and because I get the answers. I don't we can hear from CEOs CMOs all day long. Like that's just what you guys like to do. You need to be, you're the face of the company, you need to be on stage. But for me as a merchant that uses these products every day, and Steve over here who actually uses the product every day, we want to see the people that built it talk about what they built, and we want to see them excited when they're on stage. We want to see their excitement for what they built and how we are about to use it and how we want to use it. And even like when you guys even come out to like our site and we talk about like with like AL and everybody, when they come out, we talk about how we want to use the product. I think that these sorts of events are super important for you guys too, to understand how we want to use your product so that your product people can build it, the product that we want to use. Because so many times, like I've seen so many companies build products that they think is cool, that they think is sexy. And I'm like, that's not what I want. That's not what I need. Like I needed to do a specific thing. And having, you guys have a lot of people here at this event, but I mean, granted, you guys are also here in New York, but having us interface with your product people, the people that are building it, with our account representatives, you know, like we feel like we have a voice when we're at these sorts of things. Outside of having wonderful drinks, wonderful dinners, you know, wonderful excursions. We had a really nice East River tour. Everybody loved that. But it's important for you guys to know what us users want from your product. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, continuing on the first question you asked me, which is, you know, like what are the goals of Ascent, right? Bring all of you together so you can collaborate and meet as peer groups. Second, paint a vision where the puck's going, skate to where the puck's going. Third is the feedback loop, which informs our product roadmap. So we fly in all of our product managers and members of our leadership team from engineering and data science so that they can talk unfiltered to all of you. And I mean, I've got a whole Slack thread full of product feedback that I got to go digest. Yeah. Just people saying, hey, if you added this capability, I think I can unlock more value with Policy Protect or with Dispute Resolve.
I think that that's like a really good way to put it. Because, you know, like we talked about earlier in this is we started into this fraud prevention, like credit card fraud prevention, but that's not necessarily what like my company needs anymore from you guys.
Okay.
We need the identity, the return, those products that were not the initial focus, but that came out of having these sorts of meetings, these sorts of conversations, these sorts of events. It's not just an event to throw a big party. I mean, it is, but it's at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's, I think that both sides of the fence, we get to have a good time. Like I said, we get to enjoy you guys as a company, but you guys get to build the ship that we want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, it's very kind, you know, and I think you're right. Like
I've watched you guys grow, by the way.
Yeah.
I've watched you guys grow from like a little tiny company to like an absolute market leader. And like, you know, it's you guys have an account. I won't say the name of the account. You guys just signed an account, but like they called me, they're going to be a large company. They called me and they're like, we are getting ready to launch an e-commerce platform that's in the ticketing space. Who should we call? Like, where do we even start? And I was like, just call Riskified, just be done with it. I literally said that. Like, I'm not even trying to do this, like fucking call, or some sort of endorsement of the product, but it is an endorsement of the product. Is right now, you guys would always be my first call because I've watched you guys grow and take the feedback and build a product that we want to use. And that is, you guys are so effective, it's causing me budgetary concerns because you're just not getting any chargebacks, guys. Like, so I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. You know, it's, well, first of all, very kind you to say that. I agree. You know, I love the concept, you know, in enterprise tech of design partners, right? It's yes, there's a customer relationship, there's a vendor relationship, right? But there's also an opportunity to go beyond that and actually make it about designing a solution together. And that is something that we really encourage. You heard Mark from StockX on stage earlier today. I mean, he was instrumental in the feedback that built the Dispute Resolve.
They were a huge early adopter of you guys. Like I know some of the StockX guys. Spent some time actually in Tel Aviv with them, with you guys, and they were a huge early adopter. And I think that like for them as a marketplaces are challenging. Because there's a seller that's a customer also. And then there's a buyer that's a customer also. And normally, like, you know, you're like, we are the merchant, we're selling a product to a singular person.
Yeah.
But on the marketplace, there's basically a whole different dynamic on there. And you have collusion, you have over, and for them to be an early adopter of you guys, and then for them to scale up as fast as they did, like it's a huge badge of honor that you guys have that you were able to scale with them on that challenging of the marketplace. So
yeah. It's really cool. I was empathizing with Mark and Lexi and their team over at StockX. Can you imagine? You're trying to be the friendly adjudicator between 1.7 million sellers and 15 million consumers, right, or customers, and it's like they're in the middle of that, and they have to protect, they have to please, they have to deal with all of the complexity.
I mean, it's a really huge balance because you have, not only do you have like possible potential scammer sellers, but potential scammer buyers, So like if I have a pair of Jordans that some super drop that I sell for $1,700, if Guthrie buys it from me and then he doesn't pay the bill and he charges back, like it's problematic, But at the same time, if I send him fake ones from China, then there's just so much that goes into marketplaces. I've done marketplace for years, like a Ticketmaster with it, but it was a marketplace too. Like there's a lot that goes into that. And
yeah, for sure.
So what's next as we wrap this up? What's next for Riskified?
Well, we also use this as a big platform for some announcements, and so I'm very excited.
$1 million?
Yeah, it's like Oprah. It's like Oprah. Yeah. So today at Ascend 2024 and across the press, we announced Decision Studio and policy decisions within that. So now we can allow merchants to tailor specific settings, rules around Policy Protect to guide the resolution of the identity, and then what do we do with certain segments to make sure that we're delivering just the right
I like that because binary decisions for the vast majority of people, excellent, easy, set it, forget it, wrong code, rotisserie. Binary decisions work, but what I need and the decisions that I need to have a yes or no on might be different than what the next guy next to me needs to have each. So I might have a little more risk appetite.
Absolutely.
Those sorts of things with the products might be a little yes or no or more risky. So, thank you for stopping on the show.
Hey, Jordan, thanks for coming to Ascend 2024.
Yeah, thank you for the invite out. Thanks for having me out to do another episode of my show. Everybody, Riskified, give them a phone call. They'll sell all your friends.
Thank you.